The sky was already dark when they stepped into the boat. The Sea of Galilee stretched before them, calm, quiet, even beautiful in the twilight. Jesus had just finished teaching a crowd so large he had to sit in a boat offshore. Parables, truths, quiet wisdom. And then, as evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." It sounded simple, a crossing, a journey. Nothing unusual for seasoned fishermen who knew these waters like the back of their hands. They left the crowd behind, took him along, and pushed off from the shore. But not long into their voyage, the wind began to shift. The clouds thickened. What began as a gentle drift turned quickly into a fight against the waves. The Sea of Galilee, known for its sudden storms, didn't hold back. The winds howled, the rain came. Waves rose high and crashed into the boat with relentless force. What was once calm had turned into chaos. The disciples bailed water, shouted instructions, clung to the sides, but nothing helped. They were being tossed, overwhelmed, undone. And Jesus, he was in the stern, asleep on a cushion. Let that image settle in for a moment. The boat is breaking apart. The storm is howling like an unleashed beast. The men are panicking, and Jesus, the one who told them to sail in the first place, is asleep. It feels offensive, distant, like abandonment wrapped in silence. So they woke him. "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" That question is familiar. It echoes through every heart that has ever felt forgotten in the storm. It's the cry of the soul when life goes from gentle drift to violent chaos. Don't you care? Don't you see? Don't you know? We're breaking. And then Jesus stood. He didn't explain. He didn't defend his sleep. He didn't even rebuke the disciples for waking him in fear. He simply spoke. "Quiet, be still." And just like that, the wind ceased. The sea settled, the storm bowed to his voice. The silence that followed was louder than the waves. It was the kind of quiet that makes your soul tremble. The kind that forces you to confront what just happened. The kind that makes grown men look at each other and ask, "Who is this?" Even the wind and the waves obey him. But here's what we often miss. Jesus calmed the storm, but he let it rage first. He could have prevented it. He could have kept the skies clear and the water still, but instead he let the storm come. He let it grow. He let it rage around him. While he rested within reach, that storm was no accident, it was an appointment. Sometimes the storm doesn't mean you've taken a wrong turn. Sometimes it means you're exactly where he wants you, where you have no choice but to rely on his power and not your own. You see, we like our peace without pressure, our faith without fear. But storms reveal what's underneath the surface. They shake loose the false securities we cling to. They expose our limits, and they lead us to the end of ourselves. So we'll finally turn to the one who was never shaken. If you're in a storm right now, don't assume he's absent. Don't misread his silence as indifference. Sometimes he sleeps, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows the end from the beginning, because your panic doesn't change his position, because he's not worried, and that should change something in you. Maybe what you need isn't for the storm to stop. Maybe what you need is to know who's in your boat. Before I continue, take a moment to share this with someone who's in the middle of their own storm. If this message speaks to you, like, comment and subscribe so more people can hear it. Help carry the reminder that the storm doesn't get the final word, Jesus does. After calming the storm, Jesus turned to his disciples and asked, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" It wasn't a rebuke to shame them. It was an invitation to reflect, because faith is not proven in calm seas. It's revealed in crashing waves. It's revealed in the decision to stay in the boat, to stay the course, to trust when everything around you screams otherwise. Their fear was real. The danger was present, but the lesson was deeper. Jesus wasn't just showing them that he could stop storms. He was showing them that storms don't shake him. And if he's in the boat, they don't have to shake us either. The miracle wasn't just the wind obeying his voice. The miracle was also the revelation of his presence, that he was with them all along, not pacing, not panicking, not passive, but perfectly at peace. The storm didn't wake him, their cry did. That means your voice matters, your fear matters, but it also means that peace is available even in the storm. Not after it, not around it, but right in the middle of it. Faith doesn't always look like heroic confidence. Sometimes it's the choice not to jump ship. Sometimes it's whispering his name over the sound of crashing waves. Sometimes it's just remembering he's in your boat when everything says otherwise. And here's the truth we all need to hear. Storms will come. Some of them will shake you. Some will threaten to undo everything you thought was secure. But if he's with you, you are not alone. You are not lost. And you are not going under. Let it rage. Let the wind blow. Let the waves rise, because the one who commands the storm is not intimidated by it. And he's not just watching from the shore, he's in it with you. Faith grows in the storm, trust deepens in the storm, and sometimes the greatest peace comes not from still waters, but from the confidence that even if it rages, he's still in control. You see, storms don't always come to destroy you. Sometimes they come to develop you, to stretch your endurance, to strip away illusions, to remind you that peace isn't found in the absence of trouble, but in the presence of Jesus. Some of the greatest spiritual growth happens when everything familiar is shaken. That's when faith becomes more than theory. That's when trust moves from a concept to a conviction. The disciples had heard him teach. They had seen him heal, but now they had encountered his authority in the elements. Wind and wave bowed to his voice. And that moment left a deeper imprint than any sermon ever could. It's easy to believe when the sky is clear, but what do you believe when your world starts sinking? What do you anchor to when nothing around you feels stable? The storm has a purpose, not to punish, but to prepare, to train your heart, to listen for his voice above all others, to trust not in perfect conditions, but in the perfect Saviour. So, don't be surprised if the storm lingers longer than you expected. Don't be disheartened if the clouds don't part on your timeline. Maybe it's not about getting to the other side quickly. Maybe it's about discovering who he is along the way. The Sea of Galilee didn't change that day. Jesus did. Not in his nature, but in their understanding of him. The man they followed wasn't just a teacher. He was the Lord of the storm, and when you realize that, everything shifts. You no longer need calm to be calm. You no longer need stillness to be still. You begin to find rest even when the wind is howling, because peace is not a place, it's a person. There's a kind of strength that only comes through surviving storms, not because they were easy, but because he was present, because when you thought it would all fall apart, it didn't. When you thought you were done, he wasn't. The next time you face a storm, remember this moment. Remember the boat, the cries, the silence, and then the voice that calmed it all, because that same Jesus still speaks, still hears, still calms, but sometimes he waits, not to scare you, not to punish you, but to deepen you, to grow your roots, to let the storm rage until you stop trusting in your own ability and start trusting in his authority. The world tells you to escape discomfort. Jesus invites you to endure it with him. The world tells you peace comes when things are perfect. Jesus shows you peace comes when he's near. So whatever you're facing today, don't just pray for it to end. Pray to find him in the middle of it. Pray to hear his whisper in the wind. Pray for faith that holds on even when it doesn't make sense. Because when the storm finally breaks and the water's still, it won't be the calm that changes you. It will be the encounter. Jesus calms the storm. But first, he lets it rage, not to frighten you, but to form you, not to break you, but to build you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because after the storm, you won't just know he has power. You'll know he's trustworthy. You'll know he's close. You'll know the wind and waves still know his name. So let it rage if it must. Because peace isn't found when the storm ends. Peace is found when you realize who's in the boat. And he is with you, always. Even in the fiercest storm, his presence is your anchor. And sometimes it's in the chaos that you learn what calm really means.